Hey, it's Justin Pautonnier here on the Mixed Morning Grind. Special guest joining me this morning, Dave McGarva. He is the general manager of the Fort Saskatchewan Junior Rebels lacrosse team. Dave, how are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm doing really well. We've got the kids back playing live sport again after 18 months. It's been a bit of a tough road, but it's great to have them back out there and the fans in the stands and getting that excitement at the JRC again.
It's just nice to have it back. You know, it's nice to have that feeling again. Dave, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your background in lacrosse. Did you play growing up? How did you get the passion for the sport?
No, I was a basketball player and a really bad hockey player. My son came home at 5 years old and said, I want to play lacrosse. And I never picked up a stick in my life. And I just fell in love with it. If you're a sports fan and you don't watch lacrosse, I don't understand it. It's got speed, it's got skill, it's got physicality, the odd fight here and there. It's really, really entertaining sport.
It definitely is. And, you know, watching it on TV, even watching it in person, it's a fairly easy game to follow. If you can follow hockey, you can follow lacrosse, and it does have that fast paced action. And so I think that's probably why you're getting so much support with all these spectators out so far.
It is. And usually I make the challenge. If I can get someone who professes to love sports to one game, I've got them.
Yeah.
Because if they can start to figure it out, it's funny because it's actually more like basketball than it is hockey when you think
that's true. Yeah.
Defense,
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, no, anybody who likes to see hard running, hard passing, hard hitting, it's the sport for you.
So let's talk a little bit about the Fort Sask Junior Rebels season, I guess, as it was. It's a little bit of a different setup this year. What do you guys have going on, Dave?
Well, that's a bit of an understatement, but yeah, a little bit different. So with all the uncertainty, and I mean, I got to give compliments again to the city of Fort Saskatchewan. We have such a great relationship with them. They were patient with us because we had to be patient with the league. And the day before the opening announcement that things were going to loosen, they canceled the season. So we don't have an official season this year. But the day after the announcement, people started phoning and saying, "Hey, if we can, let's get some guys playing some lacrosse." So what we've come up with is an exhibition season where teams could set their own matchups. We've played 5 exhibition games. Some teams are going to play as many as 8, 10 of those.
Right.
We wanted to keep the cost down and whatnot, and done pretty well. We're 4-1 out of the 5 games. We were 4-0 going into last night, but the Edmonton Warriors handed it to us. It was a bit of a tough pill, 13-3. So,
yeah.
You know, we've got a young crew. As you probably know, we've been fairly strong for the last few seasons. And junior sport, you build to a peak in sort of a 5-year cycle.
Yeah.
And 2020 was our peak. That was where we were. We had won 2 back-to-back national or Northern Division championships. We were looking at winning the league championship and going to nationals. And well, then I think you know what happened. So none of that happened. So we're kind of reloading here, and just incredibly impressed with the young guys we have.
Well, and I guess with those players, they're looking at it as you just get what you get at this point, which is kind of a tough thing to deal with when you're an athlete and you've been working so hard for all these years. You get to kind of that great high spot, which is junior level lacrosse, and you can't take advantage of all the stuff that you worked for. But I guess on the other side of things, you just do the best you can, and that's what you guys are doing this year.
It is, and it's the interesting part of this year is we thought we would still be fairly strong just on the backs of our 20-year-olds and 21-year-olds, right? Junior lacrosse is 17 to 21. Right. Well, oddly enough, during the last 18 months, some of these guys got jobs. Some of these guys moved away from town. Some of these guys are going to school. We've got a number of athletes that play junior hockey in the winter. So we've got a couple of college hockey players, college lacrosse players. So they have other priorities. So when we came back, we've got, I think we've dressed 2 21-year-olds so far this year. We have unlimited, unlike hockey. You could dress a whole team with that.
Yeah.
And I think 3 20-year-olds. So we're very young. And we're seeing the dividends of the last 2 player drafts. The coaches have done an excellent job drafting talent and attitude, because we like to think there's a certain attitude we need for you to be a rebel lacrosse player, and these kids have it in spades.
So let's talk about the kids a little bit. You've got a good amount of local players on that team.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I mean we've got like in terms of 21-year-olds, we've got my son who's not 6 anymore. He's actually
He grew up, eh?
He grew up and he's finishing off his junior lacrosse career this year. And one of his really good buddies, Caden Cullum, he lives out of Camrose now, but he still comes out and plays when he can. So we've got those two, and then our captain. I mean, Ethan Peterson. He's a great story. Ethan was a rink rat. At like 14, he was bugging the coaches, "Can I practice with you guys?" And so we let him out there. And Ethan's never been the biggest guy. And we got into a bind when he was 15, and we were headed to Winnipeg with a pretty short roster. So the coach at the time, Kevin Parker, said, "What do you think, Dave? Can we take Ethan?" I said, "Well, don't play him. Like, let's keep him."
He's 15 years old.
Well, of course, he gets into the first game. Gets absolutely blown up. That's a big hit in lacrosse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought, oh, God, I don't know how I'm going to explain this to his mom.
Yeah.
And he got up and he gave it right back, and he's been playing ever since. So I said from that day, I told Kevin he's going to be captain of this team before he's done. And he bleeds Rebels. He's the first guy in the rink and the last guy to leave. He's just a great kid and an outstanding leader. And then
awesome. Easy guys to cheer for.
Oh, absolutely. And then, I mean, we've got a number of sort of first-year players. We've got a goaltender named Mitchell Adams from the Fort, who's showing himself very well. Miller Scrimshaw, who's just an all-around kid. He can do a little bit of everything. The passion. What I'm really liking about our crop of rookies, not just the Fort Saskatchewan kids, but they don't give up on a ball. They don't, it's tenacity. We've got incredible speed. Matthew Veach is another Fort kid. The wheels on this kid are unbelievable. He can move up and down the floor. And then another interesting one is Brighton Searson. One of our outstanding players for 5 years was his older brother, Christian. And so we got another Searson coming through, and that's as deep a lacrosse family as you'll find in Fort Saskatchewan. Their grandfather's in the Canadian Lacrosse Association Hall of Fame. They've had a stick in their hand since they were born, basically. It's some really good stories with these kids. And drafting well, we draw kids. Like for years, Marcus Fouliard was driving every game in practice from Thorsby. We've got kids from West Edmonton. We've got kids from Leduc. We've got all over the place. And the crew that we've put together this year is I think that's going to pay huge dividends as we move forward.
So moving forward into next week, you guys got a big week ahead.
It is a big week. It's a big undertaking. So I'll tell any of your listeners that if you want to get a hold of me if you're looking for something to do and volunteer, we're still short a few volunteers. Next week we're calling it, again, it's an unstructured season, but we're calling it the North Division crossover games. And so we've got the Edmonton Warriors, the St. Albert Crude, the Sherwood Park Outlaws, and the Saskatchewan SWAT out of Saskatoon coming to town. And we're playing games every night at the JRC from 6 till probably about 10 o'clock. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then we go 4 to 10 Friday. Saturday's the playoffs. Sunday's the final. There's going to be lots of lacrosse. We've got a beer garden going that people were enjoying last night.
I'll bet.
With the hot weather.
I'll bet.
And then we've got a progressive jackpot or raffle running through the week, so you can win an individual pot or you can win the big money. It's gonna, and all this for, I mean, I'm almost embarrassed. It's $5 a piece for adults to go, $2 for students. And well, you go find 2 hours entertainment for $5. I'll challenge you on that. And then under all the kids under 18's all free. We have to make some money to keep things going, but we almost see ourselves as a community service, as something for people to enjoy and rally behind.
Tons of entertainment next week when it comes to the Fort Saskatchewan Junior Rebels lacrosse. Anything else you want to add, Dave?
The usual shout out to our sponsors. I mean, I mentioned the money, but we can't do this without. Noyan Construction has been a sponsor since day one. They're incredibly supportive. Smith Insurance. I mean, there's a number of others in town that have got behind the club and helped out. This year, we made a conscious effort. We didn't reach out to the sponsors. We're running this all on player fees in the gate because, who knows what's happening with the economy right now as well. So, and there's other more worthwhile charities than us. I mean, we got to help our community. So we still want to thank them. We appreciate everything they've done over the years, and we look forward to re-engaging and helping them promote their businesses in the future.
That's Dave McGarva, the general manager of the Fort Saskatchewan Junior Rebels. They're in action tons next week. Make sure you follow the Fort Saskatchewan Junior Rebels on social media. They'll keep you up to date with everything going on in their world. Dave, thank you so much, and we wish you the best of luck next week and the rest of the year.
Thanks so much.